The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So despite having 2,400 deaths in the past 24 hours, that's 100 deaths per hour on average in the United States, President Trump is still pushing to reopen the economy by May. He's even tapping on CEOs and executives or whatever to advise on how they can reopen the economy even before April in some states. Now, this is drawing a lot of kickback. He comes out publicly saying that, data suggests that we've actually reached the peak of COVID-19 cases, but how is that the case when 2,400 deaths in the last 24 hours is the highest daily death toll of the U.S. So far and of any other country so far? So something is not right, you know what I mean? But he's pushing to reopen the economy. Somebody's lying deliberately. But nevertheless, that's 644,000 coronavirus cases in the U.S. and 28,500 deaths in total. The researchers at the at the Harvard Public Health, University of Harvard Public Health, actually say that unless there's some vaccines made widely available, we might have to practice social distancing until 2022. And then experts at the World Health Organization say, this is going to be a year until a vaccine is widely accepted. Green War graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So the Labor Department has actually reported 5.2 million Americans have actually filed for unemployment in the past 7 days, bringing the total number of Americans who applied for unemployment in the past month to 22 million. So these are stupid numbers, and of course you can imagine anybody that's working in any of them departments is backed up with paperwork crazy. You have Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Department Secretary, actually being in the media saying that he feels like the stimulus checks that everybody should have been receiving so far, especially if you filed for direct deposit, should have went straight to your account. $1,200 per adult, $500 per child. He's like, these stimulus checks should actually be enough to hold Americans over for about 10 weeks. So we talking months. I'm not sure about that, bro. But nevertheless, you have the Democratic lawmakers pushing for the Emergency Money for the People Act that'll provide direct funding for all but the wealthiest of Americans over the age of 16, $2 a month until unemployment levels reach pre-coronavirus levels. Shout out to Governor Gavin Newsom. He's actually providing a $125 million relief package he's pushing for it for undocumented migrants who went jobless from COVID-19. Green War graduation. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So there's a congressional committee that's reporting that $2.2 trillion stimulus package that was approved of last month, they actually have a $70 billion loophole that the wealthiest Americans are benefiting from. 4 out of 5 tax filers are actually able to use this loophole to get back about $1.6 million on average, which is ridiculous compared to the $1,200 that the average American is supposed to get from this, or the American adults of America are supposed to get from the stimulus package. So again, this is a temporary tax loophole, but all the rich people is, they get in their cake. It's money up for grabs for the motherfuckers. So nevertheless, that's what's happening. If you just make $1 million, I mean, shit, you coming up. If you $1 billion, then I guess it's somewhat similar. I don't know, man. Green War and graduation, that shit. The New World Order Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So in New York, which is the epicenter of the coronavirus spread in the United States, they are actually at 11,500 deaths due to COVID-19. Governor Cuomo, Governor Andrew Cuomo, he actually said that beginning Friday, all New Yorkers will be required to wear face masks while in public in places where social distancing is impossible. I guess places like the train or whatnot. Nevertheless, over in New York City, more specifically, Mayor Bill de Blasio was actually pushing for a relief package over $100 million, I believe $170 million, that'll go towards food aid for some of the New Yorkers that are at risk of going hungry. And also said that 200 people a day are actually dying in their homes, apparently due to COVID-19. Green War and graduation. The New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So after receiving an anonymous tip, police in Andover, New Jersey actually recovered 17 bodies that were stuffed in a small morgue at one of the state's largest nursing homes, the Andover Subacute and Rehabilitation Center. There have been in recent weeks 68 deaths linked to the Andover Subacute Rehabilitation Center. So obviously there's some COVID-19 suspicion over there. Green War and graduation. The New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So while there was a national day of protest in the United States by medical workers calling for more personal protective equipment, or PPE, as many of you have heard over and over again in these past month or so, this is going on nationwide. Basically medical workers trying to prevent themselves from getting COVID-19 and prevent the spread of COVID-19 and mitigate the deaths to COVID-19. Meanwhile, in Lansing, Michigan, you actually had like a movement that represented the opposite, where a bunch of conservatives, Trump supporters and all of that, whatever, under the Michigan Conservative Coalition, actually marched around like the state capitol, put their cars and set up around the state capitol under the hashtag Operation Gridlock, where they were calling for an end to the quarantine in the state, defying the state orders of bans against public gatherings. A large group of them were actually armed and then lined up on the state capitol stairs to actually take pictures, with signs up talking about Trump, Pence, and the Whitmer regime, referring to Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who was actually inside the capitals, basically blasting them for possibly putting themselves out there to spread the virus even more. And she's like, I respect your right to free speech and all of that. I just asked you not to spread the virus or whatever. Now, if them motherfuckers was my skin color, you know what I'm saying? You think they would be able to really line up around the state capitol with long straps? You know what I'm saying? Acting like they ready to get busy without the National Guard or some military trucks pulling up. You know what I'm saying? Like some army tanks pulling up, like they did when Mike Brown had got shot in Ferguson, Missouri. You know what I'm saying? And motherfuckers was unarmed. Green War and graduation. The New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Mexico, there's actually a crazy shortage of medical workers. So they've actually began this mass campaign to actually recruit more medical staff. And you have like people waiting online for hours to fill out these applications, and apparently hundreds of applicants are actually being rejected still. Nevertheless, over in Ciudad Juarez, there's actually an assembly factory owned by the U.S. company Regal that actually, where the dozens of workers that actually staged a protest yesterday, calling for the factory to close down after one of its workers actually died from COVID-19, or they suspect that they died from COVID-19 after showing like COVID-19 like symptoms or whatever. So the workers are unfair their life. Over in France, you actually had a Navy nuclear powered aircraft carrier, the Charles de Gaulle, actually had to disembark all of their sailors after 700 sailors tested positive for COVID-19. The death toll in France has actually jumped to over 17,000 after hundreds of people had died in like nursing homes over the Easter weekend, but they're still reporting a decrease in patients in these hospitals. Green War and graduation. The New World, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So we're seeing a spike in COVID-19 cases in Sweden, despite the public officials actually refusing to close any like restaurants and retail stores and schools. Nevertheless, this is also, they're refusing to do so despite them having worse time dealing with COVID-19 in comparison to the other Scandinavian countries with like strict rules in dealing with coronavirus and like way lower death rates and all of that or whatever. But I think death rates are still relatively low. Over in Germany, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel actually said they're extending their lockdown to May 3rd, while they are still, she's citing like a fragile, partial success though in dealing with coronavirus. So they're actually still going to ease restrictions before then. But they began testing early and often. So, they're having much better success in dealing with COVID-19, I guess, compared to other European countries and definitely compared to the U.S. Green War and graduation. Well, though the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So according to the San Diego Union Tribune, they're actually at the Otay Mesa Detention Center near San Diego. There's actually been a reported 17 immigrants catching COVID-19 recently, making Otay Mesa Detention Center like the largest coronavirus disease 2019 outbreak of all of the U.S. immigration jails. Over in Tacoma, Washington, there's actually the immigration at the Northwest Detention Center. They're actually on another hunger strike, the third one in 3 weeks. And then you have like prisoners actually forming, using their bodies to like form an SOS while standing out in the yard. So they really want to get the fuck up out of there. Also in Miami, a federal magistrate judge actually ordered that ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, actually revealed the data that they've hid recently, which shows how many third-party contractors actually have COVID-19, since they're saying third-party contractors don't count as staff. So they held that information previously. Green Warren graduate. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Pennsylvania, 67-year-old Rudolph Sutton actually had apparently been wrongfully accused of a murder back in 1988. He had been serving a life sentence at the SCI Phoenix jail, but was actually supposed to have his case reviewed by Philadelphia prosecutors in 3 days, but he died from COVID-19. You know what I'm saying? 67 years old, was supposed to be back. He had his case backed by the Innocence Project, who after a 5-year investigation found that he was likely innocent of that murder. So that's fucked up. Also in SCI Mahanoy jail in Pennsylvania, Mumia Abu Jamal, this is a world-renowned political prisoner and journalist. You know what I'm saying? A lot of conscious community folks have at least heard of this man, whatever. There's somebody that we feel is wrongfully put in jail and whatnot. Nevertheless, he does not have COVID-19. People reported how he was actually hospitalized with headache and trouble breathing, but none of that's true. He hasn't even been in the hospital, so he's fine, as he told to some people in the outside world. So you could literally hear him speaking for himself, like he's fine. Green Warren graduate. Well, though the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. You want to know what the single most concentrated hotspot is in the United States for COVID-19? And we're not just talking about statewide. We're talking about like just a single area, like a small area. Well, it's a Smithfield Foods pork factory in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. 640 people have tested positive for COVID-19, and out of and there's one so far that actually died yesterday. Agustin Rodriguez. Died from COVID-19 after spending 2 weeks on a ventilator. Now, this is Smithfield Foods actually said that they're going to close other factories in Wisconsin and in Missouri after workers there had tested positive. Other slaughterhouses are like following suit after there's been some positive COVID-19 tests, including Tyson Pork Factory in Iowa and JBS Beef Factory in where are they again? They're in Colorado. Green Warren graduate. The world, though the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So in the private luxury community of Fisher Island in Florida, they actually began administering tests, these serological tests for like coronavirus antibodies in all of their residents and workers. So this is a place that consistently has the wealthiest zip code in the U.S. But obviously this brings about inequality, classes. Classes are written all over it, essentially, right? Because meanwhile, you have African American pastors, like 10 of them throughout the country, had a news conference yesterday online, basically calling for equity in these coronavirus cases, where African Americans seem to be suffering at the highest rates in the U.S. while still receiving the lowest per capita COVID-19 test. In Rutgers University, the researchers there actually began administering the first saliva-based novel coronavirus test, where now the patients could just spit into a tube and and test for it, and then the medical workers don't have to use swab your mouth or your nose, and don't have to be in close contact with you and risk contracting COVID-19. Green Warren graduation. Of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So in politics, Elizabeth Warren endorses Joe Biden. Go figure. Her and Obama gonna endorse Joe Biden once Bernie Sanders dropped out. Why y'all ain't get that love to Bernie up front, man? Because you know that could have actually pushed Holmes over the hump. You feel me? But you know, I peep what y'all fucking doing. Nevertheless, over in South Korea though, the president over there, Moon Jae-in, actually won his seat by a landslide victory after, you know, they had the highest voter turnout in like nearly 30 years. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with South Korea's response to the coronavirus disease 2019 outbreak, how much testing they did, and you know, they're considered somebody that has a country that actually has it under control, and have are like the first country to have like major elections like that since the COVID-19 outbreak. Green Warren graduate. The New World, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So there's a new study out that showed that Greenland's ice sheets actually melted at a record rate, a record amount in 2019 during the summer. This is now determined by it's being said to be due to this atmospheric circulation that wasn't accounted for previously, which could be a reason to see the future melting predictions of the ice sheets of the world to actually be like severely underestimated. So we'll see how that turns out. Green Warren graduate. Of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So a federal judge actually has revoked the permit, a crucial permit that would allow for the finishing of the Keystone XL pipeline, currently being built at the U.S.-Canada border in Montana. Now, it doesn't end all the construction of the pipeline, but this permit is needed to finish the pipeline. And the judge basically said that the Army Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, didn't properly consider like the endangered species that would be affected by the construction of this pipeline, and you know, ignored specific guidelines in the Endangered Species Act. Green Warren graduate. Of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So transgender woman, man turned into a woman, Johanna Metzger, actually was murdered apparently this weekend after visiting Baltimore from PA, from Pennsylvania. Now this is makes the sixth transgender person to actually be murdered this year so far. This person was stabbed. Over in so the American Civil Liberties Union, in a different but related story, they're actually filing a federal lawsuit against Idaho for imposing this ban that basically prevents transgender women from participating in women's sports in school. They're saying that it violates this Title IX provision that basically says that you can't discriminate based on sex in the realm of education. Green Warren graduation. Let's see how that turns out.